Altadena be forgotten, we are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall alongside every episode of Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Just like that.
When I'm with you, I hear a song that makes me laugh and smile and sing to you. When I'm with you, I feel so free. I feel that love is going to take control of me. When I'm with you, it's for real.
Welcome in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. And no, you haven't dropped in to the wrong show. This is your entertainment news update with a little bit of slow storm jamming to start us off tonight because Andy's in a mood. Welcome in. This is the show where you get all the trending topics and headlines. You know, the things that have been up and down your timeline all day, giving up the fever, the static. So it is Wednesday. And, you know, I've got some facts, some strategy, and pop culture storytelling all packed into one power hour. I'm Jill Munroe, as you know, and this is your front row seat to the culture. And tonight, we are talking major money moves. $100 million agency acquisition that involves Rich Paul, you know, he of Clutch Sports, LeBron James' agent, and he who is on either side, NBA, NFL, you look at some of the NIL deals as well. Rich Paul's Clutch Sports is involved. We're also talking DJ Khaled flipping his catalog into a creative empire. We continue to see more deals like this happening. And for all you Desperate Housewives fans, there's a reboot on the way. We'll get into those details and more. And it is Wednesday, so you know we're going to be getting all up in the business. But first, before we get into all of that, you know, we got to kick the evening off with a couple of topics you need to be aware of. And we know for the past, week and a half, Sinners has been the topic everywhere in every capacity. The way that it was filmed, the stars, the cultural messages. Who had a right to complain? What was missing? What wasn't? Will we get a prequel, a sequel? What is going to happen with this film? Well, one of the most interesting developments that have come out of it, short of the butterfly effect, is the film takes place in Clarksdale, Mississippi. However, no one in Clarksdale can actually watch the film. So this film, right, doing all that it does, $161.6 million globally, right? Rare for a horror film, a black horror film, new land, new territory. But Clarksdale, Mississippi, the cultural soul of the film's story, they haven't had a working movie theater since the Delta Cinema closed in 2003, right? One of the local natives, Tyler Yarborough, he started a petition for a community screening. He said that there needs to be a coming home for the film, and they would like to hopefully raise enough money to not only have some sort of, the film brought there to be screened, but maybe the cast or Kugler or someone could come and, speak to the residents and make an event. The film, the petition, has nearly 2,500 signatures so far. One local resident said he drove 80 miles to get to a theater to check it out. So good luck to them. That would be a nice, piece to close. Well, not close it out because we're still going. We haven't even gotten to streaming yet to know what it's going to do there. But I think it would be a nice touch to touch back on the place that, sort of helped inspire the film. And Brian McKnight, he is clapping back with a lawsuit against Miss Jaguar Wright. Now, Jaguar Wright was in the headlines quite a bit over the past year. It's kind of calmed down since the Piers Morgan incident and a couple of other things. But, she was going after Jay-Z, Beyonce, Diddy, all the names. But Brian McKnight said, oh no, you mentioned me and I am going to sue you for defamation. She accused him of being abusive to his ex-wife, Julie McKnight. She also said he abused prostitutes, and she claims that Julie is her cousin. I don't know if that is real or, one of Jaguar's creative storytelling devices, but that is what the claims are. And Brian says it's all a lie and that he's never heard of any family connection. The lawsuit cites making knowingly false and malicious public statements. So we'll have to see what comes of that. We know that Brian McKnight has not exactly been in the good graces of a lot of fans out there because of some other situations, but I'm sure a lot of people will be behind him in this one. When we come forward, we're going to get more into these trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-388-6607, 800-388-6607, 800-388-6607.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 and the California Black Chamber of Commerce invite you to the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more, and it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580. Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You were locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. So you know how this goes down. If at any point you want to get in on the conversation, of course, give us a call, 800-920-1580. And hit us up on social media. We are everywhere, KBLA 1580. Of course, I'm personally at Stiletto Jill. Tap into the YouTube chat. You know it's always a conversation going on in there. And we have an app. So if you are on the go, busy, and you want to rewind select on this, go ahead and download the app. And, you can listen to it at your leisure. Now, I thought that it was pertinent to mention, since we talked about the prank call that Shedeur Sanders received from Jeff Ulbricht's son. He plays for Ole Miss. Well, the NFL have hit the Falcons with a $350,000 fine over that prank call. And, he's being penalized for failing to protect draft data from his son. So obviously, it wasn't just a nothing burger like many people thought, or that it would slide, as it shouldn't, because it was inappropriate and mean, just mean. But it is what it is now. We'll have to see. I have a little update on Shedeur for you later on. But first, let's get into Rich Paul. Now, we know that Rich Paul started off as part of LeBron's Four Horsemen. It was Maverick Carter, Rich, and Randy Mims. Randy is sort of the operations, strategic, behind the scenes person, logistics. He handles all that. We know Maverick branched off into Uninterrupted, which is now not Uninterrupted. I'm blanking on. There's so many undefeated. What was the original name of their offshoot site that they launched before it turned into just Spring Hill? I'm blanking on the name. I'll give it to you in a second. It's going to come to me. But their production company is Spring Hill. Yeah, I guess it is Uninterrupted. I get Undisputed and Uninterrupted twisted in my mind. So I wanted to make sure I was saying the right one. So we know that was kind of Maverick's thing as far as TV and those type of ventures, sports. And Rich Paul took on the role of sports agent. He worked his way up. He started off, he actually was kind of an intern, junior agent with, I think it was CAA that he started with before he eventually branched off. His first client was a guy named Eric Bledsoe. So while he was at Clutch, he developed a marketing arm, right? And it's called Adopt. It was founded with two former Nike execs, David Creech and Josh Moore. And in a deal valued at $100 million, they have just sold this creative agency to a company called Adopt. Now, Adopt is their company, to the Publicis Group, right? And that is the third largest ad conglomerate. Their 2023 revenue was $14.4 billion. So Adopt was founded in 2021, and in less than 4 years, it built campaigns for Lululemon, The North Face, and a bunch of other athlete-driven brands, right? So Creech was at Nike for 20 years, and he was the VP of design for Jordan Brand. He worked on projects with Kobe and with Jordan, obviously, and Moore helped architect Nike's digital platforms, including the sneakers platform, which you have grief with if you are a sneakerhead, of course, because you may not or maybe get your shoes. Not that they don't have them, but you just might not be able to beat out the bots to get to them, although they claim they've gotten that under control. So now Publicis has connected Adopt, and it is via their media arm, and it's going to still be led by Creech and Moore. Paul's going to stay involved as a strategic partner, and it once again continues to expand Rich Paul's empire. We know he released a memoir last year. He was one of the first sports agents to have his own shoe line and clothing deal with New Balance, and he continues to do all of the things, and, it's another chess move. We'll see what continues to happen. We know he is also developing film and TV projects. So this new era, they continue to dominate and expand and put their footprints down. So shout out to Rich and the gang. Just think, back in the day, Rich was doing State Farm commercials with LeBron with some bad acting. Shout out to Rich. And acting as his heart and soul to LeBron's Bobby Brown when they were hosting the ESPYs. Do y'all remember that? They were doing the kick step on stage. LeBron had on the baggies, the gummy, all of that. So, humble beginnings to straight up boss moves. I appreciate it. All right. Are you fans of Desperate Housewives, the original show with Eva Longoria and all of the others? It was a big hit on ABC. It had fans in a chokehold. It kind of revived the Housewives craze. It actually is why we have shows like Real Housewives of Atlanta and things of that nature, because Desperate Housewives was so popular, they decided to do the flip of it and get into reality shows, right? So it's getting a reboot. And we know Kerry Washington right now is on her production grind. She produced Little Fires Everywhere. She also was a producer for Reasonable Doubt. She had the other show that was just recently canceled. It had her, oh my gosh, the gentleman that played her father just released from jail. I can't remember the name of it. It was also on Hulu. And she actually has an action film that we're going to get into coming out next week. But another addition to her production slate is going to be producing a reimagined version of Desperate Housewives with Onyx Collective. And Onyx, if you're unaware, is Disney's Black and Brown storytelling hub production studio in-house. And they are responsible for some of your favorites out there. And the series is going to be titled Wisteria Lane. If you don't know, that is the street that they all lived on. The cul-de-sac. Was it a cul-de-sac? I feel like it was, but maybe not. That they lived on the original Desperate Housewives series that was on ABC. And the reboot is being written by Natalie Shadez. She wrote The Flight Attendant, and it's being produced by Stacey Shear, who put together Into the Badlands. So, and then Carrie Simpson Street Banner is the overarching production partner. The new version is being described as darkly comedic, soapy, and mysterious. So, taking tones from the original, but probably making it a little more darker, a little more lively. And it will have 5 female leads navigating secrets, scandals, and suburbia. And this time there will be a culturally modern twist. So you know what that means. There will be more of us in the mix in the neighborhood, which could make for some interesting storylines. So I'm excited to see it. No word yet if Carrie will actually appear in it. But I'm looking forward to it. I think that it will be interesting. I think it's a good time for it. Carrie has been unprisoned. Shout out to Forrest Harrison. I thought that was the name of it, but I wasn't sure. Unprisoned was the show. Really good show. It actually just aired its final season. I think that there were 2 or 3 seasons of it. If you haven't watched, check it out. Good, family connection with it. Pretty Brown Mimi says, I hope the Desperate Housewives bring back Alfred Woodard and Vanessa Williams too. I hope so too, if they at least make some type of appearance or something, because their characters, when they brought on, to your point, Pretty Brown Mimi, were pivotal because first up, Wisteria Lane, outside of Eva, was all white. Granted, that's what a lot of shows were, but it didn't make sense. And when they brought Alfred Woodard on with her son locked down in the basement, that storyline was crazy. And Delroy Lindo was her father. I wasn't sure. I wanted to make sure that he was. Let me just say that I absolutely adore Delroy Lindo as an actor, as someone to interview. He always gives such thoughtful, he takes the question and really considers it, and gives you a deep answer. He thinks about it and doesn't just give you blanket responses. So most recently talked to him for Sinners, talked to him at one time for a film, The Five Bloods. I know you've seen that meme of him out there where he's dancing when they were in the disco. That's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Spike Lee produced it. So shout out to them. But I think I'm looking forward to the Desperate Housewives come back with a twist with us. I think that is going to make for good TV. So I mentioned Kerry Washington has a new film coming out, and it's dropping next week. It's called Shadow Force. It is an action film. It stars herself and Omar Sy. They play former members actually, of a secret operative force who have left for some reason, and now the force is after them. I'm actually going to be dropping an interview with Kerry from the film next week, so you can hear everything that she has to say about it, her weapons training, what it was like producing it, and what she felt about creating an action film with two black leads that, have a relationship, a love interest. So we will get to that next week, but be on the lookout for that because, it's good and it's juicy. She also shares how she slid into Omar's DMs. So I thought that was a cute little story there to get into. So listen, we have so many more things to get into because, of course, there's so much going on. But let's see what they're talking about in the chat besides helping me to recall the names of the shows and the actors in them. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to that. Pretty Brown Mimi says that, she said she wants to see Alfred Woodard and Vanessa Williams brought back. Royale Jenkins says, I love Delroy Lindo in Crooklyn movie. Crooklyn, I heard that they are thinking about bringing that film back. There's talks about really bringing everything back. So Delroy was in that. Alfred was in that. Two people that we happen to be talking about. I have to admit, I have only seen that film once, probably around the time when it came out. And I know that it's beloved. I hear a lot about it. I hear a lot about how the family unit that was portrayed. I know I love the little girl that played the lead in it. I wonder what she's doing now. But it's not something that I've revisited in recent time. I wonder if they do remake it, what type of twist would they put on it? Pretty Brown Mimi says, is Omar Sy a British actor? I'm just catching up with his work. He's actually French. So he's French. He's done a couple of things in the action genre. And he's, really smooth, really exciting kind of guy. He was in Jurassic World, so you can check him out in that. He was also in X-Men Days of Future Past. I don't know how many people actually check that one out. And he starred in Lupin. So it's a couple of things you can get into as far as that look is concerned with him. So really quick, I wanted to ask the chat and maybe Andy, what are the feelings about an agent expanding into so many areas? Do you feel like would that be a cause of concern for you that he's not focused? Do you look at it as a help because his hand is in so many different areas that it could help me manifest some relationships in those places? Or, does it kind of seem like too much happening?
Give me an example.
So, well, I talked about Rich Paul. He has a marketing agency that he just sold, right? He has a sneaker line. He has a clothing deal. Obviously, he has, football, NFL, and NBA athletes, some stuff under the NIL deal. He's producing TV and film projects, stuff like that. So when you sign with Clutch Sports, how many are really signing with Rich Paul? Or are they signing with a junior agent, someone else under there? And how would you feel about that as an athlete? Would you want an agent that is in the forefront like that, just as much in some ways as a celebrity as you, singer/actress in his bedroom? Because Rich, likes Jay-Z.
I think it depends on your personal goals and what you want out of your career. I mean, being an agent, it's not just strictly I'm taking care of your sports matters, right? If there's opportunities outside of, your career, I think I'd like to help you out on that. So I think, in my opinion, it just depends on your goals. If you're just strictly, I just want to play my sport, then you might want to have an agent who's just, focused in on that. But if you're somebody who wants opportunities, you might want to sign with Rich Paul, because he has opportunities to get you, TV placements, maybe a role in the film. So I just think it just depends on your personal goals.
All right. Well, I like how that sounds. You got to be strategic with your own self, and you got to start earlier, since these people are getting NIL deals in high school and things of that nature. You kind of have to be on your business grind early, or your parents at least, because that's a lot of money coming in fast, early, and a lot of opportunity. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You were locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Sean Diddy Combs' legal team told a New York judge he practiced a swinger lifestyle with several partners and embraced polyamorous relationships. They argue he had no intent to commit a crime when hiring sex workers. The Bad Boy founder faces charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. The prosecution has finished presenting evidence in the Tyree Nichols trial. 3 former Memphis, Tennessee officers are charged with fatally beating Nichols, who was black, in 2023. Their request for a judge-ordered acquittal was rejected. 3 House Democrats are pulling support from a Trump impeachment bill. Black Rep Kwesi Mfume, Jerry Nadler, and Robin Kelly asked to be removed after finding out leadership had not reviewed it. In a Chicago City Council panel will weigh a proposed curfew to curb teen takeovers. The plan gives police authority to enforce curfews during large teen events. Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is hesitant, and the full council may vote next week. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
South 405 getting out of West LA, delays from Sunset Boulevard and stretches all the way to Palo Verde and Long Beach, and northbound delays out of Culver City from just about Washington Boulevard and stretches to the 5 merge into Sylmar. Calabasas, southbound side of the 101, delays from Las Virgenes, heavy ahead to the 170-134 split, more slowing in Hollywood from Sunset into downtown Los Angeles, and Anaheim 91 eastbound loading up at Kramer as you continue ahead towards Green River.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The first thing Lakers Nation will be monitoring tonight in Game 5 against Minnesota is how Coach J.J. Redick will use his bench. Redick took a lot of heat for not making any substitutions in the second half in the Lakers' Game 4 loss on Sunday. Down 3-1 in the best of 7, it's a must-win situation for the Lakers tonight at Crypto.com. Redick cannot afford to have tired players in the fourth quarter if the game is close. 7 p.m. tip-off on TNT. The NFL gave the Atlanta Falcons a $250,000 fine and a $100,000 fine to Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich in response to the prank phone call to Shedeur Sanders during the NFL draft. On day 2 of the draft, Ulbrich's son Jax got Sanders' phone number off his father's iPad. Jax called Sanders pretending he was New Orleans Saints general manager Mickey Loomis, telling Sanders the Saints were going to draft him. Sanders was not drafted until day 3 by Cleveland in the 5th round. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
When the flames subside, who ensures that the stories endure? At KBLA Talk 1580, we're committed to preserving the voices that shape our community. We know people have short memories, and as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we will not let Altadena be forgotten. We are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall alongside every episode of Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Another one. We the best music. DJ Khaled.
I don't know if you could take it. No, you wanna see me naked. I wanna be a baby. Spinning in his red just like he came from Maytag. Rocket with it on the brown. When I get like this, I can't be around you. I'm too little to dim down the night. Cause I can into things that I'm gon' do. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, 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 thoughts. Wow, wow, wow. When I'm with you, all I get is wild thoughts. Wow, wow, wow. When I'm with you, all I get is wild
Welcome
thoughts.
back in. You are locked into KBLA Talk 1580. This is Jill Munroe with your entertainment news update. We're going to be talking a little Khaled in a little bit. You know I love Riri. All right, y'all. With these comments, we got to get to these YouTube comments because they're a little spicy as always. You guys are kicking out the real in your opinions, how you are feeling about the topics that we are discussing. So, Forrest Harrison says, Black people need to insert themselves into anything and everything. If we don't, then other people will always be in the mix, i.e. stealing. No, that's right. Pretty Brown Mimi says, I enjoyed Rich Paul's interview on The Pivot. His career evolution is amazing and a blueprint for others to follow. Fahima says, I worked with both Delroy Lindo's wife and Judy Dash's mom at the school. I'm sorry, I might be pronouncing the Schomburg Center for Research in Black History and Cutler in Harlem, New York, back in the day. Shout out to that. Shout out to the ties that bind, holding it down, that it's not just, for a look or for an interview. They actually are living the types of things that they talk about. So we appreciate that. Lucas Frank says, Ryan Coogler is someone doing real business in Hollywood. LeBron and Rich are playing doesn't mean they're not making money, but they're not real visionaries. Ooh, so why do you feel that way? I mean, LeBron's path as far as an NBA player, what he's been able to carve out, the path that he took is very unconventional, very different from Jordan's. He has done a lot as far as Hollywood goes. I mean, Spring Hill, look at not just the blueprint he's laid out, right? Because Magic Johnson was one of the first. He produced concerts. He produced some film and TV stuff. Didn't always work out. He had better interests elsewhere that worked more to his advantage. But look at what LeBron did. On Stars, Survivor's Remorse, right? Whatever you feel about the House Party remake, he did it, and the Space Jam remake. I mean, you have to start somewhere. They also had that Netflix show on Madam C.J. Walker that they put out. So I think that what's visionary? You've never seen. I just got through talking about how Rich Paul's the first agent to have a shoe and clothing deal with New Balance. LeBron's the first to have an active, production company in multiple venues. The Shop coming on HBO. That was revolutionary. What athlete actively playing had a talk show on premium cable network? It basically was a talk show with multiple hosts. So I think you have to give some props, right? Are they Ryan Coogler? Of course not. But Ryan Coogler once was a football player. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not like they don't have some shared mentalities about the discipline, about the go-get-itness. Ryan said an injury is what stopped him as far as pursuing football more. I believe he played in college. But, I mean, everybody's level of visionaryisms and what comes out of it aren't necessarily going to be the same, but let's not shortchange them and say what they have done hasn't been revolutionary for athletes, especially for Black athletes, for a Black agent. You got to think, Rich Paul, no college education. Do you know what I'm saying? But one thing that I will always respect, and I can say this because I was there and watched it, he did the work. He started off with the small things and worked his way up. He wasn't afraid to get in there and learn the business humbly. So, you got to respect that, I feel. You are entitled to feel any way you want, but I wouldn't disparage too much just because what they're creating may not be on the level of sinners. We have taste for entertainment at all varied levels. Zeus TV exists for a reason. Zeus Network, excuse me. All right. So we're always talking about legal stuff, and I'm telling you, it seems like the celebrities, they are not letting you guys slide anymore. Fat Joe is suing his former hype man. Let me say this. And yes, as I always say, I recognize I may be contributing, but not in the way that these people are. Because, why? I fact check. His ex-hype man went on a podcast and accused Fat Joe of, well, and went online too, of being a PDF, committing statutory grape, that he was trafficking, and all types of stuff. You know, people are, listen, I don't know. I mean, well, I do know why. Say the most heinous thing that you can. Granted, I don't know if there's any truth to these or not, right? But I'm just saying, it seems to be an overindulgence of suits accusing people of these activities. And we never hear, with the majority of them, what the final outcome is. Did they settle? Did the person realize they couldn't get the money they thought? I don't know. But Fat Joe has said he's not out here playing with his name, basically. He has filed a defamation lawsuit against his former hype man. His name is Terrence T.A. Dixon. And he called Joey a PDF, like I said. According to TMZ, he said that Dixon started spreading these lies online because he believes that Joe owes him money. And he claims that Dixon went on a posting spree, throwing out, you know, all of these accusations and stories and, you know, trafficking. And Joe says it's 100% false. Not me. Wrong guy. T.A. used to work for Fat Joe between 2006 and 2019. But apparently he said that Joe blocked his record deal and didn't give him credit for ghostwriting or any vocals. Joe says that this guy and his attorney, and here we go again, I'm going to say this, right? Much to the way that I feel about Shannon Sharpe's victim, if you have a serious case against these individuals, if you can, do not go to these sensationalized lawyers that have a bad reputation. Ty Blackburn, that's the one that filed the Little Rod lawsuit, that is the one that has several sanctions against him, is the one that is TA's lawyer. Let's start there. And, you know, his Instagram, Dixon's, is filled with posts hinting that Joe likes underage girls, all of these cringeworthy things. He called it a criminal conspiracy by an ex-employee, Joe did. And listen, the actors, rappers, singers, all of these people, they're striking back. So if you want to try and play this hedge game, I'm going to throw out a lawsuit and press you so that you can avoid the bad press and get this cash up and pay me. I think you better start having receipts, because the celebs do not care anymore, at least some of them, about the blowback that can happen to their name. They want to prove their name. Can they ever? It's kind of hard to get that smut off of you once it's put out there, but they're going to try. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like
it inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, also known as AD, a type of dementia that affects memory, thinking, and behavior, making everyday tasks challenging. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? There are things you can do to help reduce your risk for developing AD. Managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure is crucial. Staying physically active, maintaining social connections, eating a healthy diet, and keeping your mind engaged with activities like reading or puzzles can all contribute to brain health. It's also important to recognize some common signs and symptoms of early AD, such as forgetfulness that causes problems with everyday life, asking the same question a few times in a row, and difficulty concentrating on basic tasks. If you see these signs in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatallzearly.com. That's treatallzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. So the chat still has opinions. Fahima sums this up nicely. She says, Ryan Coogler is a filmmaker. King James produced films. There's a difference. Filmmakers write, film, direct. Filmmakers write, film, direct. Producers fund and promote projects. They each have their own lanes, which is, without a doubt, true. I also think that, it feels like, because to a degree it is true. I'm not going to act like things aren't naturally offered to people that are already wealthy, already in position, because people also want the halo effect of being associated with those people. Just having LeBron James' name connected to a project obviously is going to bring additional light, some light that wouldn't happen with, Joe from Carson. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? So I do understand that, but I do think that there has been a targeted approach by LeBron and his team, and they have achieved things that athletes before them haven't. And it all starts, of course, with his talent on the court and what he was able to produce. But also, just because you are presented with an opportunity doesn't mean that you are going to thrive at it, doesn't mean that there's not a learning curve that is going to come into place with it. So, I'm here for the athlete moguls, the athlete media moguls. We know from that point, LeBron helped to inspire. Look, Derek Jeter started the Players Tribune. Kevin Durant has 35 ventures and his situation. Don't do no more movies, KD, though, because that Thunderstruck, I believe that's what the movie. You don't remember the movie that KD starred in? He was like a basketball player and the kids did something. It was not the greatest. It was just not the greatest. So I just think we have to allow these people to grow and expand. Now, granted, I will say a media company right now is very much like what a record label was to athletes in the 90s, what a clothing brand was to athletes in the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? We are dangerously close. Well, we're probably swimming deep in that era, but I'm not mad at it because you got to transition, you got to pivot, and there's a lot of space out there, and anything is possible if you let it. All right, we got more trending topics and headlines to discuss because that's how it is, right? Around here. So I saw this story and I thought about, we talked about this last week a little, no, not last week. Whoa, earlier in the week. So Bill Belichick, we have talked about how he is 70 and has a 24-year-old girlfriend. I don't know if you guys saw her. There's video of her at the practice. He's now a college football coach, of course, and she was on the practice field in her blue, looked like snakeskin trench. It was fire. The rest of the fit was not, but that's neither here nor there. But she was strutting with a sparkly big diamond ring on her left finger. Yeah. Bill about to jump out the window. For real. Now, everybody was saying Shannon should have known better before he got involved with it. And I get it, right? I get it. I agree. Do you know? But here, the question, which obviously we know the answer to, if you're looking for some freaky deaky, do you go for an age-appropriate woman or do you go for the OnlyFans chick? I guess Shannon's answer was the OnlyFans chick. I don't know. But Bill Belichick is defending his girlfriend. We know the clip went viral from his interview on CBS Sunday Morning, and she jumped into the middle of the interview. She was not on camera for the interview, not scheduled to be involved in the interview, but she interrupted a question that was asked on how the two met. And so Bill is coming out defending her, saying, I agreed to speak with CBS Sunday Morning to promote my new book, The Art of Winning, Lessons from My Life in Football. He said that before the interview, he made it very clear to his publicist that any promotional interviews that he took part in would solely focus on the book and its content. He said that the expectation wasn't honored when he went to CBS. And I don't know why. We were just talking about Jordan. I don't know why I couldn't remember what college Bill Belichick is now coaching at, college football. It's UNC. So anyway, he said that it wasn't honored. He was surprised when the unrelated topic came up, and he said he repeatedly told the reporter and the producers that he wanted to keep the conversation centered on the book. And he said that after this occurred several times in the interview, Hudson, right, who he described as sharing a personal and professional relationship. What is their professional relationship? She might have got a job out of this too. Look, she's collecting checks and rings. I'm not mad at her. That's when she stepped in to reiterate that point in the conversation. So he is claiming there were multiple line steps, and his girlfriend decided to shut it down, and he doesn't have a problem with it. So basically, it's giving, and you're not going to break us up energy. So stop it. You got to let grown people do what grown people are going to do. I'm surprised no one has found her parents yet and tried to talk to them. Not that, again, 24 years old is certainly an adult, but geez, I wonder how old her grandfather is. And again, we listen, we don't judge. That's their choice. I'm sure they have a lovely relationship, but nobody is saying, Bill, you about to lose all your money. Bill, you are not in your right mind. Bill, you playing games over here. Nobody has that smoke for him right now. So I say that, again, knowing that there has been conversation around it, but not in the manner of which your boy Shay has been hit with. But I also say that, and I've been saying this for months, I believe Shannon was caught up, and you could see that. If you watched Nightcap, you could see that he was getting real loose, real comfortable with his status. He was letting it all hang out, in my opinion, a little too much. So I didn't expect something like this to happen, but I wasn't surprised in some ways that some things started to come out about him. Andy?
First off, Bill Belichick, his star power is nowhere near Shannon Sharp. So that's why I think people don't care. If Bill Belichick had a popping podcast and had Nightcap on a nightly basis, trust me, I think the fire would be coming for him as well, too. And I don't know if y'all peeped Nightcap last night or yesterday, the day before.
When he told somebody to...
Yeah. I think Shannon Sharp, he's starting to unravel.
I agree. I think he needs to take a break. And I know it's hard because right now we're in the throes of the NBA playoffs. But, hey, bro, NBA ain't your sport anyway. I know you're a big fan.
Hey, he knows his stuff, though.
I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm not saying he doesn't. But I think that really, honestly, I think that is getting to him. All the jokes, because Shannon seems like a sensitive man to me. And I think that it would behoove him to take a little bit of time off, maybe a week off. You rode out the first week. take a step back for a second. He's not, but
he needs to ride this momentum. I think, in this short attention span era that we are in, if he was to take a significant break, I don't know how long that would, essentially be. People would low-key forget about him, I think. You got to ride that wave.
All right, well, we'll see what is going to happen. Listen, thank you, as always, for locking in with me, getting into all of these trending topics and headlines, because it was a lot, right? As it always is, because the foolishness does not take a day off. We covered the bag, the brand, and the business, and that means that tomorrow we'll be back here to do it again, 6 p.m. sharp. Make sure you bring your party supplies tomorrow because it is a special day. I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. Make sure you're locked in. Coming up next, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. Have a good night.
Rockin' with ya. Diamonds are nothing when I'm shining with ya. Just keep it white and black as if I'm your sister. I'm too hip to hop around, time to hit with ya. I know I get wow, wow, wow. Wow, 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 thoughts. Wow, wow, wow. When I'm with you, all I get is wild thoughts. Wow, wow, wow. When I'm with you, all I get is wild thoughts.
Hey, I heard that for the taking. I heard it got these up going crazy. Yeah, I treat you like a lady. Till you burned out, cremation. Make it cream, yeah, Wu-Tang. Throw that back bouquet. Call me and I could get it, you say. I could tell you gone off the door. Oh, yeah. Careful, mama, why what you say? You talking to me like your new babe. You talking like you trying to do things. Now that pipe gotta run it like she Usain, baby. You made me drown in it, ooh, touche, baby. I'm carrying that water, Bobby Boucher, baby. And you know I'ma slaughter like I'm Jason. Busted, why you got it on safety? White girl.